Yeah, I appreciate that addition here. I don't know, man. I just think it's a very interesting topic. It's like two people can live the same experiences and have different views of it. You know, and I think a lot of that comes down to it reflects how you feel internally, right? You experience the world through which you relate to it. You know, mother could mean two different things to two different people. To somebody it could be nurture and love, and to somebody else that word can mean betrayal and abandonment. And I think we're looking through the wrong lens with Mother Nature here. We feel abandoned by her when really we're abandoning ourselves here, because it starts with your language, bro. Can you see though how detrimental this language could be to your mind? People automatically hear the word invasive and think they're getting taken over by aliens and stuff, when really we're the only invasion here, and it just starts in our mind. And the language limits your life experience, right? We're looking for words instead of just hearing the sounds and trying to speak in her language. See what I'm saying? We're not leveling here. I think you had mentioned ragweed as invasive that you've observed too, and I have seen that a lot. It's pretty prevalent in my area, but in attempt to understand it, I actually take some and dance with it when I powwow dance. A lot of times you'll see me with herbs in my hands, and that's one of them that I use, and I've tried to make teas with, and I try to level with this plant to understand what it's trying to do here. And from my understanding, I don't feel like it's a harm. It's because I'm realizing what these plants do in their natural habitat and the roles they play, and they're just trying to play that here. And a lot of it has to do with secession, ecological secession. How we think, oh, that's a wooded area right there and it has a bunch of shrubs there and that's what's supposed to be there, when really it's just like a precursor for what the next level is going to be. So all those crops could die off and then something else can grow in its place. And I think a lot of these invasive plants that we call invasive plants are trying to play that niche. you know they're holding together the soil, like what's underneath, the stuff that we can't see. These plants aren't out competing each other and stuff like this, bro. They're not. They're just playing their natural roles. And if anything, it's trying to make up for the our lack as humans, is what they're trying to do, is what nature's trying to do. Make up for our lack in our playing our role. And because when we hear invasive, that's what I'm saying. Invasive in terms to what? In relation to who? See what I'm saying? A lot of invasive means it's that affects the economy. Ragweed gets in the ways of crops. And if you want to talk about monocultures, that's a true monoculture. No matter how invasive the thing is in nature, it's not just one thing for acres and acres and acres. So this ragweed is affecting crops, so we call it invasive, right? This ragweed puts out pollen and it flares people's allergies, so then we call it invasive. You see what I'm saying? We only call things invasive when it's in our way of getting to the money of things. It almost has no ecological value, that word invasive, because we're not a part of our ecology. We don't really care about these biodiversities. If we would change our way of life. You see what I'm saying? So it's very unfair to me to call these things invasive when it has nothing to do with them almost. It's just how we see them, how we see the world, and how we think it operates when it's not that way. So it's a very interesting topic. I think at the very least these plants are refugees, and we need to change the verbiages, because that frames your viewpoint. Your language itself sets you off on the wrong path automatically, to where we can't level with anything. We think we're up here and we're here to do what's right and this and that, and everything else is invasive and in the way. And that's exactly what put us in this predicament that we're in now. That's what disturbed all these ecosystems, is thinking that way. See what I'm saying? These ideas of invasive and they're choking each other out, these aren't indigenous ideas.